So good evening. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth Haruna, and I am called Coach Ruchina. By the grace of God, I'm the founder and the executive director of Overseas Youth Initiative, which is an NGO that is focused on working with children and their families. Our focus is supporting children to grow up to become confident, resilient, and responsible adults who fully realize their potential. And of course, we all know that that cannot happen without the support of the family. This is why we work with parents and we work with families. Now, you're all aware that we have been running our triple three series, which is basically trashing the tough topics that parents find, in discussing with their children. We talked about pregnancy, we talked about sex and relationship with the opposite sex, we talked about sexual abuse, and today we're here to talk about pornography. And we are so honored to have the one and only father of family strengthening and family engineering systems all in Nigeria. Now, I'm not going to introduce him yet because I'm going to do that at 7 on the dot because I know that's when a lot of people will be rushing into the meeting room. Just to thank you all for following this Triple T series, and thank you so much for always showing up and always watching the replays and giving us your feedback, from what you have learned and how it has helped you. And yes, we are celebrating our second year anniversary. Yay! Yeah, thank you so much. So Monday, the 30th of November makes Overseas Youth Initiative 2 years working with children and working with families. We are young, we're growing, we're learning, and we thank you all for always showing up and learning from us and giving us feedback, which has really made us better. So today, the topic is a very serious topic. We're talking on pornography. You're all aware that this is a challenge in the lives of a lot of adults. There are a lot of men and women that are struggling with this issue. And basically, most times, these are things that start from a very young age of life. Therefore, it's very important for parents, fathers and mothers, all hands on deck to provide the necessary help for boys and girls to stay clear of this vice. And if they have been introduced into it, to learn how to walk out of the cycle or the addiction. Okay, so this is why we have brought someone that is very much experienced in this area, someone that has worked with children, with young people, with teenagers, that has worked with families, with parents, and has his own organization and has made a lot of impact in Nigeria. Now, this man is a man that I met sometime in 2017. And I've heard so much about him. A lot of people kept talking about him. You're doing parenting in Nigeria. You have to meet this man, and I started Googling and searching up, to get to know more about him. And I reached out to him and he was very open, and we worked together to develop a training manual that is currently being used by the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs to train families on parenting. Now, like I said, this is none other than Praise Fowowe. Now, Mr. Praise Fowowe is an unconventional thinker, a futurist, and a premier creator and trainer of family systems engineering, a body of knowledge that assists families to build systems that support their happiness and assists families in their family life. Now, he also provides support to families by coaching them. He has done this across the globe, improving the diagnostic tools and the intervention management. He is regarded as the father of family systems engineering. Praise Fowowe has pioneered an entire sector and trained some of the finest family life coaches across the continent of Africa, an intentionally acclaimed family life strategist with 18 years track record of transforming some of the most difficult families. This man of God works with HNIs across various cultures on 5 continents, and he consults for various governments on the family systems engineering approach to build a sustainable society. He's a member of the Family Life Coaching Association USA and International Association of Marriage and Family Counselors. I mean, I can go on and on and on telling you about Mr. Praise Fowowe. This is the man of the hour. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, Ruth. Thank you so much for what you do. You know, I really, really respect what you do. Your heart for the work, your passion for what you do. I really, really celebrate. And congratulations on the second year anniversary of your organization. I mean, having monitored you from where you were and where you are right now, kudos and thumbs up to you. We are glad to have you.
Wow, amazing. Thank you so much, sir. Okay, so hello, gentlemen and ladies. This is 4 minutes after 7. If you have a friend that belongs to this group or is a parent that should be listening to this, send them the link and they need to join. Inform them that Mr. Praise Fowowe is in the meeting room and they need to come in and be part of this session today. So, I would like you to greet our audience, sir.
Okay, thank you everyone for joining. For everyone who is here, I want to say thank you so much for joining the session. I mean, what you do, what you all do for humanity, it's a job that nobody can pay you for. But I wanted to know that God sees you and God is going to reward you diligently. So thank you so much for showing up. Because without you, there won't be this event. Thank you so, so much for all you do. I really celebrate everyone. I appreciate you. I can see Toyo C. I can see Leonard. I can see some other people. Thank you so much. God bless you. I believe we're going to have a great time. And please, if you have any question at all, feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, sir. So we're going to dive in right away. And honestly, I'm so excited because I plan to take away everything I learned today to practice, take my children through it because Mr. Praise Fowowe, you have been like a mentor to me. I have learned so much from you. And I'm so excited that you have cleared out of your schedule. I know you're a busy man. Thank you so much for agreeing to be hosted on this show today. So we're going to just dive in right away because I know you have a lot of engagements after this session. The first question we're going to be tracking is, so what is currently going on in Nigeria with children, with teenagers around the issue of pornography? What's the statistics like? What are the numbers looking
Okay,
like? What are
the
parents going
statistic is
through?
not good.
Yeah.
The numbers are bad. The age that is most vulnerable to pornography right now is age 8. A lot of ages 8 are hooked on pornography. And I'll give you a background. When I started tracking pornography in Nigeria, I think it was the year 2000, the year 1999. Between 1999 and the year 2000, the year 2004, you will not find any pornography that a Nigerian featured in. None. All the pornography that existed were American pornography. Between the year 2006 to 2008, thereabout, there was only one Nigerian who shot a pornography. Her name was Afro Candy. But you will not find that pornography online. You will not. If you Google it, you will not find it. But she started shooting pornography. Now, between the year 2010 and 2013, we began to have what they call Afri-Nolly. Afri-Nolly became the pornography version of Nollywood. Everything was shot in Asaba, right? But they were covering their face, the mask. Those girls were being paid like 2,000 naira for those scenes, but I mean, they were masking themselves, but they were on YouTube, kind of. So when I told my friend that there is porn on YouTube, Nigerian porn, he said, no, it's not possible. Then he went there and he saw it. Then from the year 2014 thereabout, there was an explosion of pornography. wherein Nigeria became we became one of the countries that patronize porn sites the most, right? And we now have a full-fledged porn industry where people began to shoot videos. So every time, as we're talking right now, you can be sure about 10 new pornography uploads have gone up on the porn up right now as we're talking. And they are all shot in Nigeria. It's almost as if everyone is just putting up porn, and the consumers of those porns are ages 8 to ages, the largest consumers, the highest group of consumers are ages 8 to ages 21. Now, so if you check each of those porn, there are about 400,000 views, each of them. So if you load a porn up right now, within the next 24 hours, it would have had over 90,000 views, right? And those are the age. So but the moment Nigeria started, Ghana started. Ghana took over, Kenya got involved, South Africa got involved, Zambia got involved, Cameroon has gotten involved right now. So all the African countries are warming up because whatever Nigerian does, they try to outdo us. So as we talk right now, there is a full-fledged porn industry in Nigeria. And if your child has a mobile phone, your child is at risk, no matter how much you try to control, because there'll be pop-up and the child will have access to them. I'll tell you regularly right now, we are dealing with children who are now hooked on pornography. They brought a girl to my office the other day, age 8, who as at that morning had done 60 porn sites that early morning. Before the brother, she arrived in my office at about 10:30 a.m., you know. And so there is a full-fledged porn industry, and there are porns dedicated to teenagers, right? In fact, over 48,000, what am I saying? Over 48,000, right? Teenagers shot, you know, and Nigerian things, you know, and some of them are violent porn. So when you see rape, somebody raped somebody, that person raped that person, it's all porn. Now, a lot of parents don't know that there's a lot of porn conversation that goes on in the school buses and in even lower primary and upper primary, right? So that girl, when I interviewed her to say, when was the time you started, how did you start doing porn? She said she was in the school bus and a 7-year-old was telling his mate, you know, how he watched porn. And she had never heard about porn before. So she went to collect her iPad and Googled porn. And of course, you know what would show up are videos. And she started consuming it secretly. So the numbers are not good right now. Trust me, they're not good. A lot of children are involved across many schools, especially the highbrow schools, the A-rated schools. It's a major issue right now. A lot of parents are unaware. Some are aware, but they're trying to play the ostrich, but it's not looking good. But Nigeria, and we talked about it, that what can Nigeria do? And let's not forget that while we talk about hardcore porn, there is the soft porn. As at the last time I checked, almost every song right now has a soft porn. Olamide Bado released a song, and the song, you know, it's titled Womado, which means we are going to have sex with you now. Naira Marley released a song, you know, and the song is titled "The Vagina is for Sex," right? They sang it in Yoruba, and the song was not banned by NBC. So this we're not even talking about, and the video is a bit of soft porn. Then every of the comedians shooting skits right now, most of their skits, except for Emanuela and the other guy, every other person I know shoots a bit of soft porn right now, right? And a lot of the children are watching this thing. So porn is everywhere. I mean, you need to picture this generation of Gen Z. When we were younger, you needed to watch Lolly, read Lolly, or I mean, you can't even watch it on TV. But right now, at the click, or they can easily access it, and it's so bad right now. So that's the way where we are. It's not looking good at all. Because I'm asking, how did Nigeria get to the level where people can shoot porn and you can see their faces, and new ones are uploaded every now and then? I track them, and I know that this thing is not looking good. In fact, latest data is saying that It's now 50-50 when it comes to consumption between women and men as it concerns porn in Nigerians. You know, it used to be more men, but now towards the end of last year, the ladies actually overtook the men, but now is at parity, 50-50 kind of. So that's where we are when it comes to pornography in Nigeria.
Oh my God, this is disturbing. Parents, are we listening? Are we hearing this? The numbers are getting bad. Nigeria is leading, other African countries are following. Children ages 8 to 21 are the largest consumers. School buses tend to be the location where most children get introduced. Songs and comedy skits are carrying these things. Now, we're going to talk about the role of the parents. What do you think we should do as parents to ensure that our children are, first of all, not surprised that this thing exists? And then how do we prepare a child in the way of being a deliberate and intentional parent to inform the child and equip the child so that when they are introduced to these things, they know how to avoid the temptation?
Now, the role of parents, like we rightly said, is parenting is is something that we try to avoid. We assume that we know it. We don't know parenting, trust me. Because there are roles you should play in the life of your child. So, for example, from ages 0 to 3, you are a scout. From ages 4 to 6, you are a model. From ages 7 to 9, you are an instructor. From ages 10 to 12, you are a friend to your child. From ages 13 to 18, you are a coach. Then from ages 19 and above, you are a cheerleader and an advisor. Now, if you don't understand these roles and what the roles demand, you will miss out on what you should have taught your child, right? So your child is not supposed to discover pornography. You are supposed to be aware of the reality on ground and prepare your child for life online before your child goes online, especially right now during Corona that everybody is doing online learning. It's your responsibility. Unfortunately, a lot of parents are not even willing to accept that they don't know. Now, when you don't materials you can buy, you can opt yourself into. So you need to get age-appropriate sexuality. There's one to teach a child about sex age appropriately from ages 18 months to 3 years, 4 to 6, at different milestones till age 18. You need to embrace that and begin to teach your child because your child will contact pornography whether you like it or not. And what your child will do when your child contacts pornography will be a function of preparation you have given your child. So if your child contracts pornography, if your child is able to report to you, it's because you have prepared your child for life on the internet to say this is a threat to your sanity. Your child anything, it will be a culture shock, and your child will likely tell his friend, depending on the parenting style that you have embraced. So I say to parents that giving your child an internet-enabled phone without creating some checks and balances is like giving your 9-year-old the key to your car, and you now hire Baba Deboye and Pastor Kumuyi and Pastor Lukoya to be praying prayer of my child must not be involved in an accident. My child, no matter how they pray, your child will be he will be involved in an accident because he has not mastered how to drive. It's the same way if you do not understand that, number one, giving your child a phone, there are things you need to understand, fundamentals. One, your child does not have a phone. You have only given your child a phone on trust. You are the owner of the phone. And if you are the owner of the phone, one, your child cannot password the phone. Two, your child must have a time that he surrenders the phone to you at every, because if you don't collect the phone back, you will assume that your child has gone to bed. They don't sleep. They are talking to themselves. During the COVID, we discovered a scenario among teenagers and preteens. We just noticed that once it was 1 a.m., many of the teenagers would put up their private parts on their DM or their DP. I was wondering what kind of lewd pictures were they. Then I engaged them. I found that between 1 a.m. to 4 a.m., they were playing truth or dare. And part of the truth or dare game is, snap your private parts and put it. So I asked them, why do you remove it by 4 o'clock? They said, that's when our parents wake up. So we would have done it and remove it before they wake up. So that's the time our mothers get up to pray. So you can see, but if you are taking over the phone before your child goes to bed, he can't even take part in those kind of things. You understand? So your job is to be very intelligent as a parent. You are dealing with Generation Z and Generation Alpha. They are not Generation X and Y. So you need to understand their tendencies. You need to understand their reality. And you need to understand your role. I spent the last 1 month with parents in class teaching them about the new rules of parenting. It was very explosive because I had to teach them the new skills, the new levels, how to create a user's manual for your child, and all kinds of things. It's a whole lot of work, right? So you need to be emotional, intelligent as a parent, exposed as a parent, then understand the reality in the life of your children, and get your child to a level where your child is not afraid to tell you anything and everything. Then age-appropriate sexuality education and preparing for your life, for your child for life online, because virtual life is different from real-time life, totally different. New different rules of engagement. There are groomers online waiting to groom your child. There are adults who are talking to your 7-year-old, 8-year-old, and they are grooming them. So you need to understand all this reality. And it's not a time to say, my child is covered by the blood of Jesus. No, the blood of Jesus will cover your child to the degree of the knowledge that you have imputed in your child. You shall know the truth, and only the truth shall set you free. So we need to come down from our high horses and take responsibilities for the children that God has put us in our care. And we need to create our own village of parents. It says it takes a village to raise a child. You cannot, it's not the old village they're talking about. It's now the village you have created of parents with like mind, like values, who you can collaborate together to raise children to produce a predictable outcome. That is the new rule, and that's how it works.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Amazing. Okay, so very, very interesting take homes. I have heard from you. I've seen that there are different roles in the life of the child and depending on the age and stage of the child. And you mentioned all that. Thank you, sir. So you talked about online safety, and I know you referred to checks and balances. Please, can you enlighten us more on some of the softwares that parents can use that are of 0 naira or free or cheap that parents can use to put on their children's phones, and what other thing can they do?
Okay, the first thing you need to understand is if you check your mobile phone, if you for online safety, there are ways you can work on your phones to ensure. If you check the back end of your Chrome or whatever browser you are using, there are ways you can actually set it in a way that it will filter anything that is inappropriate. You can actually indicate that it's a child that's using the phone, and then the word of all those things. But I usually would recommend Covenant Eyes. I don't know if it's still free. Covenant Eyes is a good app that can help you. But if you go online and just type top 10 online child safety app that is free, you will get quite a number of those apps that you can download. Some of them will even give you a report. If your child ventures on any porn site, you will receive a alert and it will show you that your child has gone in there. If you go online, you'll find all those ones. But
Okay.
you see, beyond the apps, if you put the rules in place to say, for example, when your child comes back from school, every day at 8 p.m. you surrender your phone. Then you can pick it up in the following morning. These are basic checks that can help your child. At least you can be sure that you have saved your child from his friend who don't sleep and who are chatting with them. So you surrender your phone, you surrender your internet-enabled devices, before you go to bed, because a lot of these children need to sleep, right? And they don't sleep because of all these things. Then number two, you want to ensure that you intentionally build your child to become a proper ambassador of your family values. Very key, right? But let me say this. Many of the children we've interacted with, the first time they encountered pornography outside of school is on their father's iPad. So there is always someone in the house who is frequenting pornographic site. Maybe one brother, one uncle, one auntie that lives with you, right? Or driver. In fact, you need to warn your driver that on no account must they give their phones to your children, because oftentimes a lot of these drivers are on pornography. They're hooked on pornography, right? So your child just flips and boom, it says pornography, and whatever your child can see, you can't claim your child has not seen it. So you want to have that conversation. I tell people that because you're not going to be around your child all the time, the best thing is empower your child against some of these things. Age-appropriate sexuality education. Talk to your child about pornography. Let them understand what it is. Let them understand the dangers. Let them understand how destructive that this can be to them, and prepare them that in case you observe anything like this, come and tell me I'm your parent, right? Don't watch it or blah, 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 blah. Just tell them the dangers, because when you tell them don't go and do this, that's what likely they will gravitate towards. It's human nature. But help them understand who they are. What I said, parents, is you need to create a perceptual coach for your child and build your child in the direction of their identity. The greatest battle of raising a child is the battle of identity. Every misbehavior is either as a result of a non-discovery of self or a non-remembrance of self. If your child does not know who he is, he will misbehave. If he forgets who he is, he will misbehave. Everything in the society is designed for your child to forget who he is. So by the time he sees people dance naked, do things naked, do little things, pornography, it looks like he's missing out. So consistently, you need to ensure that you build your child's identity. That's why in the new rule, you cannot throw temper tantrums as a parent. You cannot be shouting and be yelling on your child. Every time you shout and you yell, you diminish his self-confidence. And once you diminish his self-confidence, up the door for your child to begin to look for a succor elsewhere, because pornography is actually a stopgap. It fills a gap momentarily, but it creates a dangerous, a more difficult problem. It's like smoking cigarettes. When you smoke cigarettes, you calm down a little bit, but you will need another stick to calm you down. That's what it is. But when a child has no emptiness in him, he doesn't see the need to use pornography because there is no vacuum. And once there's no vacuum, there's nothing to feel. So you need to ensure that consistently you train your child to become the best version of himself consistently. That's why when your child does something you don't approve of, don't shout, ask him, who are you, right? Use that opportunity to remind him or her of who he is. That is the critical part of the work, because all these things will be used. All your apps that you impute on the phone will be very useless without this critical stuff, because there's what we call voyeurism. Voyeurism is mind sex, which you cannot see, right? Pornography needs to go on a side. Voyeurism is the it creates in his mind, and that one there's no way to monitor it, and that's why building your child's identity is very, very critical. Now, there is a particular age that you don't want your child to go online alone, right? When your child is less than 6 or 5, you don't want them to go online alone without supervision. And if they have to go online alone, make sure that all the checks and balances have been put in place, but ideally you should wait on them and do online stuff with them, but for the ones who will go online alone, you need to peg the time, right? Because so if you say, I want to do my homework, how long will it take you to do this homework? Okay, you look at it yourself. This should not take you more than an hour. So after 60 minutes, I'm coming to check on you, right? Because many of us just leave it like that. Sometimes they're not even doing porn. They are not looking for porn. They are looking for a game. And many of the games have porn embedded in the middle of the game, right? So once they start with the game, before you know it, porn pops up. It takes them, because the pornography owners have also learned to catch them by weaving porn into some of the games. Do you understand? So it's important for you to be streetwise and smart about these things and understand what to do and what not to. So those basics are the basics that you need to understand. Build your child's confidence and you won't have anything to worry about.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. Amazing. So basically, there is so much more than just securing a device. The relationship you develop with a child, and even the way you treat your child will determine whether the child would go out looking for something to fill up that space or not. Thank you so much for that. Absolutely. Now, I want to ask a question that is drawn from what you concluded with. The way that currently porn and other suggestive ideas that are negative are being infused into entertainment content. A lot of cartoons now carry content on boyfriend, girlfriend, love, relationships that are not meant for children, and even sometimes nudity and suggestiveness of these things. What do we do as parents? Some of the content you think they are age appropriate, and then they spring up a surprise on you, and these things just show up and introduces your child to some of these ideas. What do we do?
Okay, the first thing you need to do is to create what we call the domestic educational system for your child. Unfortunately, there is a limitation to what I can teach you. That's why I would still refer you to parenting. Now, there is what we created a domestic educational system for our children. What is a domestic educational system for your child? You need to be able to determine within your family. Now, it's a part of the family systems wherein you have the family governance system, which includes your family vision and your family values. Your domestic educational system is the system that determines how you want your children to think and who you want them to be. Because the Nigerian educational system cannot produce thinkers, right? So you need to create a counter parallel program that you run within your family. Now, once you create that, it becomes very difficult for your child to become a victim of so many things. Then, when you want to celebrate birthdays, for example, I will drop a list of the songs I want the DJ to play, because many of these DJs don't understand values. They don't understand children. So every birthday must be children's content, right? When my children are not in Nigeria at the moment, but when they were here, I ensured that I created a user's manual for my children. So when I took them to school, I called their teacher, this is who my child is, this is how to treat this child, this is how to behave around him. And when he behaves this way, this is what is communicating. I had to tell them myself. Then I ensured that I took responsibilities for the school by ensuring that age-appropriate sexual education is taught. I had to do that for the school. Then I moved beyond that as well to ensure that every time they were doing events, we selected the right level of music, right? Very important, because wrong music is played during an entire sport, played during, these are adult content, should not be played during children's parties, right? Because your children will first dance to the beat, then the lyrics will begin to affect them later. So you need to drop the list. Many people bring in a DJ, you pay a DJ to mess up the sanity of your children. When we are going to school, I ensure that we don't listen to FM stereo. We select the music we want to play around them. Then I noticed that Disney started shooting same-sex cartoons. So I migrated my children, because what children need is not cartoon. What children need is movement. And National Geo World has a lot of animal movement, and that can help them. So when they outgrew CBBS, I moved them to National Geo World. With National Geo World, they learn about animals. That's why my son knows about so many animals right now, because that was where I migrated him to, right? Because with that, I know there will be no nudity, there will be no somebody kissing somebody, there's no somebody touching somebody and all those kind of things. But even with all those things, their friends were still talking about funny things, and they will come back home to talk to me about it. And so we add what we call world changers, which I also give to a lot of parents. It's become like a 52-week program of what you can teach your child every week. Right now, parents subscribe to it. I ensure that the estates we live in, I taught my children, but I also asked all the parents if they can send their children to me, because my children will interact with other children in the estate. So I took responsibilities for those other children. They thought our parents were clapping for me to say, Mr. Fowowe, thank you. No, I wasn't helping them. I was helping myself, protecting my own interests. And the best way to protect my interests is to protect their own children. So with that, they just realized that their children began to behave differently. They began to report everyone, and it really, really helped us, before we traveled. So it's important for you to understand that you need to create a counter program. Everything is designed to mess up your child, but you cannot now lay low and just say what you are doing is prayer. Prayer alone will not cut it, right? You need to rise and create your own village. If 10 of you can come together, for example, and say we need to rise and take responsibility for our children, you will create your own music. I create stories. I create music. Many of the music songs I created for sexual education is because of my children, right? But other parents found it very useful. So we all need to teach one another, help one another, and understand that no child is safe until every child becomes very safe.
Amazing. Oh my God. This is the village concept. I like it. Take responsibility for your community, because you're not just helping other children, but you're also creating a community where your child can grow and thrive in a very, very good, healthy way. Thank you so much, sir. So this has been an amazing discourse, and we're really heading towards rounding up. The other question we want you to talk to us about is the tough question. Basically, when a child is already involved in pornography, that child is stuck and it's an addiction. How does the child, or maybe there's an adult that is listening and they are really struggling with this, how does that person come out of this cycle of, I'm not going to do it again, but I find myself doing it? What can a parent do to provide the needed support as a way out of this addiction if a child has already been involved?
Okay, if a child is already involved, the psychology of handling a child is totally different from how you handle an adult. Totally different. So you need to understand that psychology, and you need to know what you need to do at every point in time. Now, if it's a child, what I would recommend is that you need to find help almost immediately. Now, the first thing you need to do is calm down. Don't be fixated or worked up on begin to beat your child. No. You need to understand that your child needs help and you must provide that help, right? That's something you need to do for your children. Now, having said that, you need to find a skilled professional that can help. Am I still there?
Yeah, we can hear
Okay.
you loud
Yeah,
and clear.
you need to you need to find a skilled professional that can help your child. There are child psychologists, there are child therapists. You need to find someone that can help your child. But one thing you need to understand is that the most important thing is you need to first find hold your child accountable to say, let your child understand that you understand what they're going through. Now, once you do that, it helps because your child, once your child can trust you, to know that I know that my mother or my father is not going to yell at me, right? Your child is basically crying for help. So you now need to find out, so what happens before you do pornography? There is a state of mind. You need to find out that state of mind. Oftentimes it's loneliness. So if it's loneliness, what other coping mechanism can we create? Right? So every time you feel like porn, what else can you do? Right? Can we learn something? Can we play a game? Can we play Scrabble? You need to find out. But usually I recommend that you see a professional that will help you. But if you're an adult already and you are hooked on porn, you're an adult, well, there is what you can do. I will drop a link in the chat box because pornography and masturbation go side by side. For adults, once an adult begins to see porn, the next thing is it begins to masturbate. So there is a session I did way back. I've dropped the link. You can go listen to it. It will help you if you're an adult to break free from that. But for a child, you need to get a professional. But you also need to now aggressively start teaching your child age-appropriate sexual education because the target of pornography does not teach better sex. Pornography distorts thinking and brings a comparison sexuality. It totally messes up the child's identity, right? So you need to ensure that you give the child's identity, himself his identity back, because pornography will take away his confidence. So get your child to read something, let him represent it to you in form of a presentation, do that, and you will channel his energy in the direction of something that is ecological and something that is critical. I mean, something that is, empowering, basically. That's what you need to do. But sometimes I always tell parents, the moment your child is hooked on pornography, we need to do assessment because there are things we assess. We need to know how long, is he addictive already, or is just a one-off? Is the one-off is very easy. Just pushing sexual education, it will override what he has seen. But if it's not a one-off, it's been recurring, then we need to take the history and find out exactly what is he using pornography to cover. Then we can now create an intervention. So there's no one size shoe fits all for everyone. Every case is on a case by case basis. But if you show your child enough love, I must say, if you can't do anything at all, show enough love. Love can break the deepest addiction. If you show enough love and show enough of understanding, it can help, right? And don't be ashamed. Play. Pornography is not different from headache. It's not. It's also a type of sickness. So don't think that people will laugh at you. People say, how did, no. It's something that we all go through. I have been hooked on pornography before and I've broken free. So I always tell people, and sometimes if you are a very curious person, you have the propensity to be hooked on those kind of things because you want to research all the time. I know lots of adults who we have helped out of pornography and broken free from pornography, but you need to take responsibility to say there's a problem and you need help. If there's a child, please get in a professional who can assess that child and provide help and provide what you need to do.
Wow, thank you so much, sir. This has been an amazing discourse. I wanted to ask you to share a story and you mentioned it briefly. So I don't know, do you want to share more stories with us?
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me tell you my story. So when I was young, I remember that I was sexually molested at the age of 3. I mean, at the age of 5, sorry, 4. 4 to 8, then 8 to 12. So, but by the time I was 6, I mean, my elders, people would bring Lolly into the house. Lolly is a magazine called Dada the Sexy Guy. So I would listen, I would watch Lolly. I would look at it over and over again, so I began to look for it myself. That was the point we had way back. Along the line, in my teenage years, I outgrew that naturally. Then when I started, I remember that after a while, I think there was something that happened in my life in the university, and I was bitter about it, right? And I started smoking. And the more I started smoking, the more my friends started bringing in bluefin. The more we started bringing, they started talking about masturbation. We'll watch porn, masturbate, watch porn, masturbate. Along the line, got born again, but because I used to be, that led me to sex addiction because I was a sex freak, way back. Then I got born again, got saved. The problem was I still had that addiction, but I couldn't talk about it in church until one day I took the bull by the horn after praying. I felt the Holy Spirit asking me to go and open up. And I went to my fellowship, collected the mic, and told them I was struggling with pornography, masturbation, and sexual addiction, and all kind of secrecy. The moment I talk about it, it was as if a weight was lifted, and I became very free. Now, I'll tell you my last battle was when I started studying the porn industry. Because in that study, I had to visit various porn sites to know exactly what was happening. Now, I concluded our research after about 3 months, but after I concluded it, every time I went to cyber cafe, this was in the year 2004, 5, 6, every time I went to the cyber cafe, something would tell me, why don't you check? Maybe they have uploaded new one. I didn't know that I was getting hooked. Before I knew it, there was barely a day that I would go to a cyber cafe. Then there was cyber cafe nobody could afford, that I would not want to see a porn site. So sometimes I'll go for overnight browsing. I would see guys browse pornography all through the night, and I would check a few. So I had to call my friends to say, guys, I'm doing a study on pornography. I have finished this study, but I'm now hooked. I cannot stop seeing porn, right? So they said to me, okay, before you go to the porn, before you go to the cyber cafe, let us know so that we can double check on you. So they will call me once I go to cyber cafe, and every 2 hours, they will check on me. How is it going? And by doing that in 40 days, I was totally out of it, right? So anybody at all, and that time I was born again, I was singing in church, I was a minister in church, but I was hooked, so anybody can get hooked. We need to understand that, right? But we also need to understand that pornography thrives in secrecy. The moment you can open up and get someone who can hold you accountable, who can check on you regularly, you can also break free from it. You will need to, because if it's pleasurable, you need to find something else that gives you the same pleasure to overcome it, right? So because I love to study a lot, I just put myself aggressively into study, and before I know it, I'm actually addicted to studying and doing other research right now that I don't have time for porn and what have you, right? So that's my story. That's to tell you that anybody can, whether people say, and because they're a Christian, anybody can be hooked. It's no respecter of person. But one thing you need to know about porn is it will breed comparison. By the time you begin to get involved in it, if you are married, you will begin to equate your spouse to the person you saw. So if your spouse is not shouting the way the person, you will begin to desire that. It promotes bizarre sexual practices. Pornography does not teach sex. It distorts your thinking. Pornography will make you see ladies as things to be used and not beings to be respected. And these are things, if you have teenagers, that you need to share with them. There is no rapist I know who is not hooked on pornography. None, right? Many of them are heavy on. In fact, there are cases I read in the newspaper that I know exactly what the person had gone to watch before going to commit that offense. Because there are so many porn sites. There are bestial porn sites where young people are taught how to have sex with their pets. You can have sex with your dog and blah, blah, blah. There are, what do you call it now? Eco-sexual porn site, where those who are the ones who are in love with nature, making love to nature and flowers and blah, 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 blah. There are a lot of gay porn sites. There are all kinds of porn sites. There are forced sex porn sites where young people are learning how, and what they teach in there is that ladies actually will resist, but once you penetrate them, if you force penetration, they begin to love it. And that's why you see that rape cases rose higher within Nigeria within a certain period of time. So, I mean, these are the real life stories that, I mean, has happened to me and that I've handled with people. You know, it's not something that anybody should encourage. And that's why we need to ensure that we educate our children to master their identity. Because once your identity is mastered, you don't have a need for something else extra. And once you don't have a need for something extra, things like pornography will not appeal to you.
Wow. Thank you so much, sir. This has been a very enlightening and insightful session. And please, if you have a question, drop it in the chat box. We're going to read it out so that Mr. Praise can handle it out before we round up. Now, just to round up and to close, sir, is there any general parenting advice or counsel you want to give parents? It may not be particularly on this topic, but something that is pressing on your mind that you want to leave with 16 or so parents or any parent watching this video, the replay. Yes, sir.
Let me tell you this. Your parenting is dependent on your parental knowledge. It's called parental literacy. If you don't know it, you can't pray it in, right? You can't claim it in. You can't wish it in. So I always beg African parents that please get information, right? Do everything. Instead of buying shoes, buy courses. I mean, I have loads of courses that can help. But beyond that, your parenting is even secondary, is dependent on your marriage, right? If you are a single parent, there is co-parenting. That's another ballgame entirely, right? But your marriage is key. So if you are married and you are listening to me, you don't have marital vision. If I ask you and your husband to write your vision, you can't write the same vision word for word. You're already in trouble. You can't build any system without that. If I ask you for family values, your children cannot tell me what your family values are. They don't know your DNA creed. They don't know your family ideology. You're already in crisis. If you don't have systems, then there is no way pornography will not sneak into your family. These are critical things that you need to learn. And I'm going to beg and appeal to you, please do everything to master this with your husband. Even if your husband is saying, I'm not going to go to class, you go to class by yourself, right? I'm starting a session for couples next week, Sunday. It's a 6-session process all through the month of December. If you can attend, trust me, do everything to attend. It will change your life, because I realize that not too many Nigerians have family vision, family values, and all those kind of things. We are helping them set up all those things, setting up their users manual. Your child, every child needs users manual, but it will start with you. You even need to do your own first, right? So it's you're going to be taking videos, you're going to be taking sessions on Zooms. It's intensive, but it's the best Christmas gift you can give to yourself, right? It's 100,000, but one thing I will do for you that I've never ever done, the worth of that program is $1,500. It's highly discounted. I'll give you 40% off.
Wow.
Because of roots, if you are interested. Yeah, that's what I'll do for you. And when you start, you will see, you can go and check the main price one after the other on my site. You'll realize that it's way, way, way more than what we're offering. But if you're interested, we'll give 40% off for you to be able to make that class. Just talk to Ruth. She will get to me, and then we'll know how many of you are interested. But please do everything to save yourself, right? It's a word of knowledge right now. The future of family is tribe. Families that don't become tribe will be colonized by other families. Whether they are good or they are bad, it will happen. That's the future. It will happen exactly in 6 years. I told people when LGBT started like 10 years before, they didn't listen. But now they've overtaken us. The concept of family is being redefined. Children are confused. And when a child is confused, he will look for marijuana, he will look for pornography. You can't, there's no vacuum in life. So I'm going to appeal to you, please, do all you can, right, to embrace the right knowledge, build systems. Africa, we are not used to building systems. We are used to emotions, right? So your child does something, you are not even asking, why is he doing what he's doing? You already slapped him. You have already yelled. You have already, because your parents did the same thing to you. So you inherited it from your parents. Shouting was one of the things we inherited. We are domesticating children. We claim we are disciplining children. Meanwhile, there's a difference between domestication, discipline, and punishment. But they look alike. We use them interchangeably. They are not the same. Within the ambit of discipline is the word discipliner, is to instruct, to coach, to train, and to disciple. There is no yelling, shouting, spanking, doesn't exist there. But we do it and we say, I discipline my child. And say we were properly disciplined. If we were properly disciplined, why is Africa not looking like the disciplined society? Africa is domesticated because we were domesticated. So please, you guys have to become new ancestors and save your generation forever, right? If we all get it right, then it becomes very easy to create a village and save our children. Ask yourself, why can't African children do things together? Chinese go to every country. They are collaborating to buying things. Indians are collaborating to buying things. Jews are collaborating. Africa cannot collaborate except it's Owambe. And that's why we are the begging bowl of the rest of the world. We need to change that. I'll tell you something. A statistic was released this year. The 12 worst countries to live in 2020. African countries were 1 to 11. Only one Asian country is number 12. And three things common to all those African countries. Number one, they have no priority for girl child education. Two, they don't believe in gender equality. And number three, they are country of big men, low systems. That's our reality. We need to change that. And we all need to take responsibilities to do that. So please, if you want to make it to class, we'll give you 40% off and get you into class, right? Let's save ourselves. There's a whole lot. Once your family marriage works, you can be sure parenting becomes very easy because you and your husband are on the same level, or at least you know exactly what you need to do to transform situation.
Oh, wow. This is an amazing way to bring an end to this session. Thank you so much, sir. So like you heard, you don't want to miss out on this program. So please, you reach out to us. We're going to give you the contact, the right link to go to register for this program. And we have already been given the privilege of a 40% discount. So please, I think I'm going to subscribe for that session myself. Guys, let's go for it. So thank you so much, sir. This was amazing. Thank you for the time. Thank you for the resource. Thank you for pouring this knowledge and impact on us. May God bless you and your family and keep you and keep enlarging you and take you places beyond your imagination. This was amazing. Thank you so much, sir. So I do not see any question in the chat box. I want to assume that we do not have questions. Is there anyone with a question? If not, we're gonna let Oga, he is my Oga at the top, please, guys. We're gonna let him go because I know he has another research he wants to dive into, another session he needs to do. So this brings us to the end of this session and also the end of the Trashing Tough Topic series for this year. So we're gonna be starting our fatherhood series in December. We're gonna be talking and addressing some fathers issues. So please, thank you all very much for joining us. Once again, I want to celebrate you all for this great session. And thank you all for joining, and thank you all for celebrating us for our anniversary. A lot of you have sent us messages. Some of you sent us videos. Thank you so much. Okay, there was a hand that was raised, right? Unfortunately, our speaker is out of the house, but okay, the person is still connecting. So this brings us to the end of this session. If you have a question, kindly send it to our chat. Our WhatsApp number is 081-814-92444. You can take it again, 081-814-92444. Please go ahead and unmute yourselves. Let's say hello to ourselves Thank you so much. Anya So Gloria. Thank you, Minaku, Omo, Elion, Lami, Mr. Bola Hong, Toyosi Yinka. Hi, Betty, Mrs. Adu. Hi, Hannah. Hello, Philip. Hello, Mama Esther, Mapi. Thank you all. Please unmute yourselves and say hello. Hi, guys.
Hello, Christina. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma. It's such a pleasure. I believe we have learned so much. For those of us that joined late, you can watch the replay. Thank you all.